In this section, I'm going to talk about cross-region replication in S3. So for doing this, I'll go to the S3 in the S storage. And if you remember, we already created a bucket called ITrepo-test. I actually emptied this bucket because there were so many log files here that I couldn't actually go through them. There were multiple pages here. What I did, I just click on the bucket here and I click on the empty and just type the name of the bucket here. And in this case, you can get rid of everything inside your bucket. It's going to take some time and then it says success. So if I go inside the bucket, now it's empty. If you want to just get rid of everything at one shot, this is a good idea to do. So I don't have anything right now here. For the testing purpose, I'm going to upload just one of these files here, file1.txt. And hit upload. If I hit upload here, it means I want to keep everything default, no public access, and just want to upload it to the bucket. And then the file, it's going to be here. For setting the cross-region replication, we actually need to have another bucket in order to replicate the content of this bucket to another region or another geographical location. So if I go back to the Amazon S3 here, the ITrepo-test, it is currently in US West, Oregon region. It is in the west side of the United States. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another bucket in India and I'm going to replicate the content of this bucket to India. So the content of the bucket it is just right now one file, file1.txt. I want to see if we can actually replicate this one and how this replication is going to work. We'll see, but by default, whatever is inside the bucket, it is not actually going to replicate to another region by default. We have to update this file, or we have to manually with the command prompt, actually with the AWS CLI, we need to copy the file. But for whatever we're uploading after enabling the replication, you're going to see that it is going to automatically replicate to another region. So if this is your plan and you want to replicate your bucket content to another region or another geographical location, so make sure that you are enabling this feature at the very beginning, right after creating your bucket and before uploading anything inside your bucket. So for doing this, then first I'm going to create another bucket in another region and I give it a name IT-DR, and the region I'm going to put it in India, actually Asia Pacific, and we can copy settings from another bucket if we like, but I'm not going to do it right now. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on create. Cool. Now our new bucket ITrepo-test.dr is actually in India, and we can see them at one page, and our region up here is global, so this is a good view actually. Let's then go to the ITrepo-test and configure the cross-region replication. For doing this, you need to go to the management, and the management there's a tab called replication. And if I click here, it says you haven't created any cross-region replication. Don't forget, this is a cross-region. You cannot replicate to another bucket in the same region. Actually, if you click on get started, it is asking you, do you want to copy the entire bucket or anything with the prefix or any tag? You can choose if you like, or do you need any encryption to replicate any objects, which I'm not going to select anything. I'm going to replicate entire bucket and hit next here, and then you need to select your destination bucket. When you are selecting your destination bucket, you can see that it's just showing me ITrepo-test.dr, but I have other buckets in the same region, itrepo.com for example, but I cannot see this one. And the interesting thing is that you can choose a bucket in your account, and also you can choose a bucket in another account, which is going to be in advanced settings. You need to have an account ID and the bucket name, and you can replicate basically your bucket's content to another bucket in another region in another account. So I'm going to select my account and I'm going to replicate it to India. There are a bunch of options here, and it is really good that it's telling us that the versioning should be enabled also on the destination bucket, which is in India. We haven't enabled it. In the source bucket, it is enabled. If you remember from previous videos, I can show you, but in the new bucket, we just hit create and we didn't configure anything. So I'm going to enable it from here, which is really good settings. There are a bunch of other options here. You can change the storage class for the replicated objects, and it could be a good solution whenever you are copying your data to India from the US West. You can actually change the class of your storage to, for example, one zone infrequent access or whatever you like. So I'm going to actually stick with the default settings here. Also, you can change the object ownership in the destination bucket if you are using another account and you want to replicate to another account. So I'm going to basically remove everything here. I don't want to stick with the default settings, and I hit next here. And then and we need one IAM role for doing this. We'll talk more about IAM role and I'll go through the details of the roles, policies, and how we can use them in advance in details. But right now, the concept is that we have the ITrepo-test bucket in Oregon and we want to copy the content of this bucket to ITrepo-test-dr in India. For doing this, we actually have to give permission to AWS to be able to go inside the source bucket and copy the content of the source bucket to the destination bucket whenever we are uploading anything inside the bucket. So for doing this, we need to create IAM role and give this permission. If we have already any role, we can choose that one. I have a bunch of roles, but I'm not going to select any of these roles. Or you can actually create a new one basically from here, which is going to be really easy. And you just need to give it a name. I give it a name replication to India, and this means that the AWS is using this role, and we can check this one actually, and it is trying to copy the content to the destination. And the status enable and hit next, and this is then overview, and I'm going to click on save. And this is our cross-region replication rule. You can see the source bucket is ITrepo-test. It is in US West Oregon, and the destination is ITrepo-test-dr. It is in Asia Pacific in India, and this is actually the name of the IAM role that is doing this for us. I'm going to copy this one in my clipboard. And bucket policy also, and you can see the rule here. You can create multiple rules in your replication. So let's see how long this is going to take. Actually, we didn't have that much information inside our bucket. It's just one file, one txt file, and a bunch of logs. And if you remember, I've uploaded this file into the bucket, and maybe a bunch of these log files, they were inside the bucket. Some of them are new, but some of them they could be old. Let's check what we can see inside the DR. So when I'm checking the DR, the only thing that I can see is anything after 1032, and I can go back to my source bucket, and actually 1032, anything after 1032 can sort it actually by the last modified, and you can see this is 1031. If I hit refresh, I can see, okay, this is the 1032 one. So anything after this one, we can see these are new files, and the AWS is going to replicate it automatically, but not the old files. That's the thing that you have to be aware related to the S3 bucket cross-region replication. So in order to replicate the old files or the current files inside your bucket, you need to update them, or you need to manually from the AWS CLI copy them over to the destination, which I'm going to show you in the AWS CLI session. But here what I can do, I can test new files, and I can upload this file again to show you that how we can replicate and up-to-date files. Because if I upload the file 1.txt again, it's going to be a new file, a new version, and then the AWS is going to copy the new version over. For this testing purpose, first of all, I'm going to choose s3-content.txt and upload this one, s3-content.txt. I'm going back to the bucket dr in India, and I want to see how long this is going to take to copy over. And it is really fast actually. I'm impressed with the speed of this. And we have the s3 context.txt here, and I can click on this one, I can open it, and basically I can see the content from India, and you can see the link is actually different. And if I go back to DR, and you have to be aware because the versioning is enabled, we have multiple versions here, and basically the AWS is working with the versioning and is copying the versions of the files over. So still we don't have the first file, the file 1.txt. What I can do is I can upload the file 1.txt again. This is one way. Another way, as I said, it's through the command line, but let's just stick with this one for now. I'll talk about the command line later. File download.txt, and I can hit upload. And because I'm uploading this file, basically I have multiple versions of it right now. If I click on show, you can see that there are multiple versions. This is the old version, but the new version will be in the DR bucket. Let's give it a try. I'm going to DR bucket and hit refresh, and now you can see the file 1.txt is here, and file 1.txt, it has just one version, but in the source we have two versions. That's the way it is working. So make sure that if you want to use the cross-region replication and it is part of your plan, enable it in advance before uploading anything into your bucket. Last thing that I want to show you, if you remember, I copied the IAM role name into the clipboard. So I'll go to the services up here, and I can go to the IAM role in the history, or in the security, identity, and compliance, click on IAM, and then click on roles here or here, doesn't really matter. And then you can scroll down and find your role here, or you can paste whatever is in the clipboard, which was the name of the role. And this is the role that I actually created because we want to copy the source bucket to a destination bucket inside the AWS. Let's see what kind of policy do we have inside this role. And you may guess what would be the policy. It is going to get the list of the bucket and the content of the bucket of the ITrepo test. This is the source bucket, and it has access to replicate the objects or delete them, or also tags replication to the destination bucket, which is the ITrepo-test-dr. That's basically kind of permission to be able to do this. That was actually the IAM role that you can use for copying the ITrepo-test bucket to ITrepo-test-dr bucket. Okay, that was it just for the bucket replication. I'll see you in the next one.